Most people think a rug pull is a dramatic exit. A villain hits a button, drains the pool, and then disappears into the night. But that's not how most people lose their money. The real rug pull happens long before the collapse. It happens in the code, in the tokenomics, in the culture. And if you don't know what to look for, you'll never see it coming. Today, we're breaking down the anatomy of a rug pull. Not the flashy version people argue about online. The version nobody talks about. The version that drains value quietly while everyone thinks you're early. By the end of this episode, you'll know exactly how to spot a rug pull before it happens, and you'll never fall for one again. A rug pull is any project where the insiders create a path to extract value from outsiders. It doesn't have to be illegal. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be engineered so the insiders win and the community loses. That's the real definition. Types involved: there's a hard rug, which is liquidity drained, contracts pulled, founders vanish. A soft rug, where the team stops building, stops communicating, and the token bleeds to zero. There's a slow rug, where tokenomics guarantee long-term decay, while insiders cash out slowly. Most people only recognize the first one. The other two are far more common. One, liquidity control. If the team controls the liquidity, they control your exit. Locked liquidity is the bare minimum. If it's not locked, walk away. Expanded. Most rug pulls start with one simple advantage. The team can pull the plug whenever they want. If they own the liquidity pool, they can drain it in seconds and leave you holding a token you can't sell. Even if they don't drain it, they can slowly siphon it over time. For example, a project launches with hype, but the liquidity is sitting in a wallet labeled dev. It's not a project, that's a countdown. Takeaway here is, if you can't verify the lock, you don't have an exit. Number 2 is tokenomics that don't add up. Any project where insiders hold a massive percentage of supply is already a slow rug. If the team can make the chart by selling, they eventually will. To expand on that, tokenomics tell you who gets paid and who gets played. If insiders hold 30, 40, 50% of the supply, the chart is already dead. It's just waiting for the moment they decide to cash out. And they always do. For example, a project claims to be community driven, but the team wallet holds half the supply. That's not community, that's leverage. Takeaway here is, if the insiders win by selling, the community loses by default. Number 3, anonymous teams with no track record. Anons can build great things, but anons with no history, no GitHub, no previous work, and no verifiable identity are a risk multiplier. Expanding on that, being anonymous isn't the problem. Being anonymous with no footprint is the problem. If you can't find past work, past code, past anything, you're trusting strangers with your money. That's not decentralization, that's blind faith. For example, a team can claim to be industry veterans, but their GitHub is empty and their LinkedIn profiles were created last week. Takeaway here: if the builders don't exist anywhere else, the project won't exist for long. Number 4 is hype without product. If the marketing is loud and the code is quiet, you're not early, you're bait. To expand on this one, rug pulls thrive on hype because hype is free. Code takes time. Delivering takes time. Scammers skip the hard part and focus on the dopamine. If the project has influencers, memes, and countdown, but no working product, you're not investing, you're donating. For example here, a project spends more time on Twitter Spaces than GitHub commits. That's not development, that's theater. So to take away there, if the product doesn't exist, the risk does. And number 5, community behavior. Real communities ask hard questions. Rug communities attack anyone who asks them. The fastest way to spot a rug pull is to watch how the community reacts to criticism. Healthy communities want transparency. Rug communities treat questions like betrayal. That's because the insiders need the illusion of confidence to keep the exit liquidity flowing. For example, you ask a simple question about token distribution, and 5 accounts instantly call you a fudder. That's not community, that's a defense mechanism. Takeaway here, of course, is if questions aren't welcome, neither are you. Every rug pull follows the same life cycle. Once you learn the pattern, you'll see it everywhere. It always starts the same way. A project appears out of nowhere with an anonymous team, a vague roadmap, and marketing that feels a little too polished for something that supposedly launched last week. That's the genesis phase. It's all excitement, mystery, and promises that sound big enough to drown out the lack of details. Then comes the inflation phase. Influencers start pushing it, volume spikes, social feeds with people bragging about being early. What most people don't realize is that this is the moment insiders are quietly accumulating their exit liquidity. The hype isn't organic, it's engineered. You saw this with the Squid Game token back in 2021. It launched with no verified team, no real product, and no connection to the actual show. But the marketing was loud enough to drown out every red flag. Influencers amplified it, volume exploded, and people piled in thinking they found the next big thing. Now all this is documented in the reporting from BBC. I'll link it in the description. But after that initial rush, things started to slow down. This is the stagnation phase. Promises get delayed, developer updates get thinner, the community starts getting defensive. Anyone who asks a real question gets labeled a hater. The energy shifts from building to maintaining the illusion. And then, without warning, the extraction begins. In the case of Squid Game, the price shot up thousands of % in minutes, and then the liquidity vanished. Holders couldn't sell, insiders drained the pool and disappeared. It was over in seconds. Finally, the decay sets in. Socials go quiet, the team disappears, the token bleeds out day after day while holders cope, argue, and wait for a comeback that'll never arrive. By the time the collapse happens, the rug pull already happened months earlier. So here's the CoinOps 60-second rug pull audit. Use it every time. Number 1, check whether liquidity is actually locked. If the liquidity isn't locked, the team can drain it whenever they want. That alone is a deal breaker. Number 2, confirm that the contract is either renounced or fully transparent. If the team still has control over the contract and won't explain why, that's a massive red flag. Number 3, look at how much supply the insiders hold. If the team controls more than 20% of the tokens, they can nuke the chart without a single sell. Number 4, inspect the GitHub for real ongoing development. If the commits are fake, empty, or non-existent, the project isn't being built, it's being marketed. Number 5. Check whether the roadmap has real dates and real deliverables. If everything is coming soon, nothing is coming at all. Number 6. Look for signs of a paid influencer army. If the only people talking about the project are influencers with affiliate links, that's not adoption, that's advertising. Number 7. Evaluate the reward structure or APY. If the yields are unrealistic, the math doesn't work. And if the math doesn't work, the project won't either. And number 8. Scan the blockchain for mystery wallets holding huge percentages of supply. If you find hidden whales, you're not early, you're exit liquidity. So here's the rule. If a project fails 2 or more of those checks, it's not a project, it's a trap. So rug pulls work because people want shortcuts. They want the 100x. They want the lottery ticket. Scammers don't create greed, they harvest it. CoinOps is about discipline. It's about survival. It's about staying in the game long enough to win. Rug pulls, on the other hand, take you out of the game. That's why we're doing this arc. Next episode, we go deeper. Rug pulls take your money. Seed phrase attacks take everything. If you've ever typed your seed phrase anywhere, even once, you need to see the next episode. Stay locked.